TheLightstream.net presents On the Way to a Smile, Case of Yuffie.
The Forgotten City. At a small lake where Aerith had lost her life and saw everyone off, Yuffie and the others had returned once again to let her know that the fight against Sephiroth was over. They all stood silently around the lake's altar. None of them said a word, but each of them were speaking to Aerith in their own minds.
Bye.
It was Vincent's low voice. By the time Yuffie turned to face him, his red mantle was already flailing behind him.
What's with him? Is that the way he's going to part with us? Hold it! Hold it!
She hurried after him.
How can you part with us just like that? We're all war buddies, you know?
Her protesting didn't stop him. She sprinted ahead of him, and the two stood face to face. He looked as if he was staring at a point far into the distance. Yuffie didn't know what he was thinking, or what was going through his mind, but his gaze was powerful. She stepped aside immediately. She knew she couldn't stop him.
Take care.
Vincent passed her. Yuffie never expected such words from him, and let go of what just happened as she felt his heart for the first time. Cloud, Tifa, Barret, Sid, and Red 13 looked on.
Looks like he has somewhere to go.
Yuffie returned to her comrades.
To his woman, probably. Time I got going, too.
Yeah. Same for me.
Everyone has someone they want to go see.
She understood, but she couldn't hold her feelings in.
You know, you guys sure are taking this lightly.
It just means we know we can always meet again.
Sid started to walk off. Cloud and Tifa nodded. Even Red 13 agreed.
Red 13's just forcing himself along.
As she began to feel the same way they did, she accepted what was about to happen.
Let's go.
Cloud and Tifa began to walk off.
Once we leave this place, it really is goodbye for us all. But that's fine. I'll enjoy our parting with all the energy I have.
Hey, wait!
Barret suddenly raised his voice.
Man, this parting's ruined. That's why I don't like the old man.
She looked over at him and saw him removing the materia from his prosthetic arm, handing it over to Cloud.
What do we do with this?
Hey, wait!
Realizing she had forgotten something important, Yuffie raised her voice. She had almost forgotten the whole purpose of her journey.
Can I have all the... No. I mean, can I just have half of all the materia? I'll bring them back to Wutai with me and keep them in safe custody. Well, I'll use them too, maybe. Just a little.
The eyes of all her comrades gathered on her. She loved to be the center of attention, but this time she felt a little guilty. She continued to speak in an effort to hide that guilt.
I was in the middle of hunting for materia, you know? I got close to you all because I was following my instincts as a materia hunter. The materia you all had was just too tempting.
Shinra's research, technology, and knowledge of the planet's life allowed them to bestow powers into the materia Cloud and his party possessed that wasn't possible to produce naturally.
To be honest with you all, I didn't really know what you were all after, or know much about your past. Even now, I think it's the same. But I fought with you all, didn't I? And it wasn't because of the materia. I just wanted to be of use. Even if I wasn't much. We're friends now. Come on, think about it. How many times have I saved you all from pinches? Damn. There's no truth to that part.
Yeah, you've helped us many times.
Huh?
You're an ideal child. So cheery and strong.
Yuffie was surprised and waited for Tifa to continue. But Tifa just smiled and stayed silent.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Yuffie thought about what she heard as she blushed. She was surprised that she just might get the materia with no objection.
What do you think, Barret?
Cloud had suddenly turned to ask him.
Why the hell are you asking Barret for?
It's true that Yuffie's a good friend of ours. But it's a whole different matter when it comes to Materia, isn't it?
No, it isn't. It's the same. The same. I know it may be all over now that we've defeated Sephiroth, but I have a great dream, and that's to restore Wutai. To do that, having Materia is crucial.
Restoration, huh?
This time it was Sid who piped in.
Shut up, old man!
Yuffie glared at him.
If that's what you need it for, isn't Midgar much worse off?
You're right.
After agreeing with Sid, Cloud fell deep in thought.
Hey, Yuffie. How about this? We'll give you all the materia.
Alright!
But I keep it in safe custody.
Are you trying to trick a child here?
Thinking she was being made a fool of, she stood up tall in protest.
You got it all wrong. Most of our materia are used for battle, right? It really won't be of much use for Wutai. So we'll just share the ones that will be of use in healing, and I'll keep the rest. I think that I'm the one who's most experienced when it comes to dangerous materia.
It's true we don't need any equipment for battles anymore, but
Yeah?
even if we can't use them, we'll feel much more at ease with them, won't we?
Then let's do this. You return to Wutai, but if you feel uneasy without materia, then contact me. We'll think about it again then.
Cloud was speaking in a gentle tone, but in the end, his decision to keep the materia was clear to Yuffie. And just as he said, even if Wutai had a lot of materia with immeasurable destructive power, they may not be of much use. Times had changed. Even Yuffie understood that.
Fine. You be sure to take good care of my materia. And so, now I'm the one with the most materia in the world. What do you think of that?
Yuffie was on her way back to her hometown of Wutai and had been talking to the chocobo she was riding the whole time.
Do you think I should buy some new clothes somewhere? These clothes got all worn during that long journey.
Yuffie thought about the people of Wutai who she expected would be welcoming her home. She was sure they already knew the planet managed to avoid the catastrophic meteor because of them. That's why they would surely gather together to hear her stories.
Oh, wait. These worn clothes will help show how much hardship I've been through. Yes, this is what I'll do. I'll keep these clothes as they are. But more importantly, I better prepare my stories.
However, Yuffie realized that she didn't know a lot of the important things that happened, and in what order, just before the world was close to its end.
This isn't good.
What had everyone been thinking? What happened as a result of their thinking? There were a lot of things Yuffie, who only joined them at some point during their journey, didn't know.
I wish I asked them about it. But whatever. I'll just have to improvise. The former soldier Sephiroth, who the evil Shinra company created, was thinking of great evil deeds. As Cloud and his friends fought Shinra company, they pursued Sephiroth. When Sephiroth was cornered, he tried to use the black materia to summon a meteor to crash into the planet. We risked our lives to stop him. Yes, perfect. Easy for them to understand.
What Yuffie didn't know was that a lot of the details she didn't know about had already reached Wutai, with the exception that she was involved.
Hey!
Wutai was in sight. Yuffie had returned to visit a number of times during their journey, but the feeling was different after finishing something. She stopped the chocobo and gazed at her home in the distance.
Huh? Why am I...
Yuffie didn't understand why she was wiping away tears. It was early morning. After releasing her chocobo, she ran down the familiar paths without looking up. She ran at full speed toward the house where she expected her father Godo to be. She didn't want anyone in town to know she was back yet. Even though she had decided she wanted to leave her worn clothes on, she wanted to give her face a wash at least. Godo was standing at the door, hammering at a post.
What are you doing?
He turned around when he heard Yuffie's voice.
I'm back. It's all over.
Godo nodded with dignity.
I'm glad you're back safe, Yuffie. But listen, my daughter. The town is in much trouble. Help me. Wutai is in need of assistance from young people like you.
He lifted up a bag full of tools onto his back and started to walk toward the center of town.
Hey, wait!
Yuffie hastily followed. Her father seemed to be in a hurry and was walking briskly along.
You've heard of what I've been involved in, right? What happened to the welcoming party? Where is everyone?
As Yuffie protested, she briefly talked about how she and her friends summoned the livestream and saved the planet. Godo stopped and turned around, looking at her dubiously.
I know nothing of what you have done. What I do know is that the world got dragged into a mess that the foolish Shinra and its soldiers caused. In the end, the universe's will was to end that dispute and it summoned Meteor. But our planet defended itself by releasing the livestream and destroyed it. That is the way I understand it.
The universe's will? Who came up with that stupid story?
That is my interpretation. Perhaps the truth is different, but what I know is enough. And Yuffie, don't go around saying you were involved. The effects of the livestream are vast. Even though people understand it saved the planet, there are still some who are unhappy at what has happened.
What?
Yuffie raised her fist, punching the air in protest.
What's happened to the town?
Yuffie looked around her as she talked, displeased with what she was hearing. She hadn't noticed it when she arrived, but many of the buildings were damaged. Among them was the ancient red-roofed training hall, which now had a large hole in its wall. She could see many of the tiles from the roof had fallen down too.
What happened?
The livestream passed through here. It was a horrifying night when the buildings shook. Perhaps it's nothing compared to the victims in Midgar, but there are many old buildings here. You may not see much damage outside the structures, but the posts and beams are most likely broken. I wouldn't be surprised if the buildings collapse someday. That is why I am using this hammer to... What's wrong, Yuffie?
Yuffie gazed at the people around her repairing the buildings. Many of them were bandaged.
Is everyone alright? Anyone badly wounded?
There are quite a number of people wounded, but not many of them are that severe.
So they're few in number.
You're right. But what can you do about it? Now, come help me fix the buildings.
Godo took a new hammer out of the toolbox and handed it to Yuffie.
I don't mind. This'll help, right?
She took out her healing materia and showed it to her father.
Ah. Do you have any more?
No. There were a few more of this type of materia. I was really planning to bring more back, but the tag type would be too dangerous, wouldn't it?
That is good.
Godo looked at Yuffie warily.
A wise decision.
Godo walked over to the Red Roof training hall and began to examine its condition.
It looks like we can fix this easily.
He called out around him.
Hey, give me some help, everyone. We'll turn this place into a hospital.
Yuffie was sure her life as a materia hunter was at an end, and was going to start a new page as the magnificent Dr. Yuffie. Everyone that came to the hospital thanked Yuffie. She still wanted to tell someone about what happened during their journey, but faced with those who were injured by the livestream, the idea never came to mind. Some of the people possessed wounds that even the materia Yuffie had couldn't heal, but she was sure they would heal gradually if cared for well. The problem was Yuffie herself didn't have the mind power. Materia was the crystallization of the livestream. To withdraw the power from the stabilized crystal, some form of charge is required, and this is triggered by the mind waves of the user. As a result of that, the materia user's mind is significantly weakened. The exhaustion was difficult to bear, and assaulted by drowsiness, Yuffie stored away her Dr. Yuffie sign by evening, immediately curling up on her futon, and was falling asleep.
Tomorrow, I'll take a break from healing for the day, and go somewhere to find a supply of ethers or something similar. Wait, I wonder, did Cloud and everyone else stop traveling after they used up all their ethers?